Hi Capricorn. Welcome to your mid-September to mid-October reading. Capricorn, how are you supposed to make a plan about the future? How are you supposed to make a plan for the future if you don't know what you want? I know. There have been some sudden developments that have thrown it all up in the air. But to be honest, if you knew what you wanted, it wouldn't have hit you so hard. So why don't you know what you want? Is it a lack of alone time? Is someone doing all the giving and you're doing all the taking, so you don't really need to think about what you want? Where's the imbalance? Are you giving so much that you don't have time to think about it? What is keeping you from being honest with yourself about what you want to do long term? Not what's scary, not what you think is possible or impossible, but what do you actually want? One of the things you don't want is any sort of conflict or confrontation. You're just not up for it. That's part of the reason you don't want to make any decisions or even think anything through right now, because you just don't want to get any sort of animosity going. You're not up for it. For whatever reason, you don't feel like it. And the reason is, astrologically, that you're restructuring yourself. The reason you don't know what you want is because everything is changing. Something that you held to be really stable, it's falling apart. And along with it, your ideas of stability are falling apart. You've got to figure things out from scratch again. But it's impossible to do that now without first figuring out what it is you need. So if you want to take a step back, that's fine. But do so with the clear intention of figuring out, what does the long-term you look like moving forward? Because you can't deny that whatever is happening right now is changing you. And it's happening at extreme speeds. You're changing every day right now. You're not used to this kind of change. Sure, you're cardinal, you're earth, but it's the speed I'm talking about. And then, after about 7 days, just be quiet. As of the 21st, say nothing. Until they put more responsibility on you, but don't give you more pay. Until they try to get more out of you without giving you more. And then you start making up your mind about what goes and what stays. Don't do anything about it. Just think about it until October 18th. That's when you do something about it. But all through the retrograde, that starts on the 27th, you have these moments where you realize how much more people want to take than they want to give. And it's okay. Except you just don't want to play anymore. Is that one of the things that I want? Do I want equality in my relationship? Could it be that I don't want someone hanging on to me like a life raft anymore? I don't want someone hanging on to me for dear life. I want someone who is an equal. Could it be? Could it be? That Four of Pentacles is also your need towards the end of the month to control everything. Please don't do that. As of the 21st, any controlling behavior that you exhibit comes back to bite you. Let people do what they want to do. If you need to say something at work, say it before the 21st. If not, don't say anything until after the 18th. You must wait then. Because even though you're making great points, no one is listening during Mercury retrograde. And it's very frustrating, and it'll just make you feel like maybe you're not in the right, but you are. It's just bad timing. Money is slow throughout the retrograde. But after the retrograde, there's a big payday, inshallah, coming up. So that's good. So until then, just don't spend any money. Especially don't spend money when you feel like you are underappreciated. See, because what you do is you let other people take too much from you. And then you give to yourself at that same level of intensity to make up for it. You are your own indulgent parent. And although in the context of our guided meditations to the Za, that's a great thing, in this case, you indulge yourself to keep yourself from standing up to the people who are actually taking too much. And this next 4-week period is a great time to save your money and not have to appease yourself with opulence, because you'll actually be in equal, balanced relationships with people, especially at work. It'll make it easier to save money, but it will also take the sting out of buying things for yourself, because you'll be buying them because you want to, because you enjoy it, not because someone has made you feel less than. There is a huge difference. You're getting the same things, you're buying the same things, but what a difference. One really just backing up your sense of inadequacy, and the other a fulfillment of a wish. It's a big difference. So, don't react. Don't try to control it. Get quiet. Figure out what exactly it is that you want. Not what they want, not how much you can do for them, but what you actually want. Strategize. And then as of mid-October, say it how it is. In the meantime, equalize the relationships that are unbalanced instead of trying to buy your own happiness. Love you.
Hi Capricorn, welcome to the second part of your reading. All right. As I've mentioned in the second part of many of the readings I've done recently, I just want you to know that I am really, really sorry. I know the videos are late. If I wasn't dealing with something really, really important that had to do with my family, I definitely would not have put them off. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for understanding. It really means a lot to me. Okay, here we go. Inshallah, by the 21st, which is the day after tomorrow, it should all be figured out and we should be all good. So just say a little prayer for me. And if you're wondering what I'm talking about or what's going on, you can check out Instagram at the Quietest Revolution, where I've talked more about what's going on with me. All right. Let's get started. Queen of Cups. You're very receptive right now. The High Priestess. You're receptive, but you're not reacting. So there's a lot coming in, but you're not showing how you're dealing with it or what it's doing to you. Now, this isn't easy, but my guess is the reason you're handling things this way is because you're in the middle of a pretty big restructuring. You're finding out more about yourself. There have been a few things that have happened recently that have brought you face to face with aspects of yourself that perhaps you weren't aware of, strengths you didn't know you had. I'll refer back to that quote. I'm pretty sure it's Eleanor Roosevelt, about not knowing how strong, well, in the case of the quote, it's women, but you don't know how strong a woman is until you put her in hot water, much like a tea bag. You have been put in some situations recently, in the past 3 weeks, where you really had to step up and be the bigger person. Things happened that on an intellectual level you understood, but they may have really hurt your feelings. But because you are in such a receptive mode, you let everything in. The smart thing, and you are very smart, the smart thing is that you didn't react to it. You took it in and you processed it, and you found a way to empathize with what was going on. And kudos to you for doing that, because that is not easy at all. There have also been people who you could have questioned their intentions. You could have questioned why things were happening the way they were. You could have easily been in your rights to question their intentions, but you would have ended up insulting them so deeply. But you didn't do that. You kept it together. You didn't react. And so the Queen of Cups and the High Priestess, they really speak to the strength and evolution of your character. You didn't lose your cool. You didn't go outside of the bounds of propriety. You didn't make anyone else feel bad. Actually, you just took everything in and understood. You've been incredibly empathetic. And we know that empathy comes naturally to you, but there's levels to it. You've really been pushed this month, and you've passed with flying colors. And for that, what you get back is this emotional stability. See, and it makes sense, okay? Hear me out. When we learn to have an enormous amount of compassion and empathy for others, the grace that is produced there, it is also given to us. When we show that compassion for others, there is this tacit conversation going on between you and yourself, where you're telling yourself, not only is that person worth that compassion, but so am I. And so when we find ourselves being kind to people who in fact we don't need to be kind to, for whatever reason, they deserve our ire, but they don't get it. It is this silent signal to the inner self that, hey, you also make mistakes, and I still also love you, and I'm still not judging you, just like I'm not judging this person who's made a mistake. Okay? So while you were exhibiting all this empathy and compassion and sympathy, the exact same thing was going on between you and yourself. And so you find yourself reaching a point, 3 of Pentacles, of such emotional stability that it begins to affect your finances. Your finances are getting more and more stable as well. In fact, some new idea may come in that really rocks your world because you're so clear that something new is allowed to come in. This is not the time, though, to worry about relationships, okay? Because most of you, well, okay, let me not say most of you, many of you are in a situation where you've been, this is family bonds, right? In a long-term family situation, whether it's parents and children, husband and wife, partner and partner, whatever it is, wife and wife, husband and husband, whatever it is, this situation seems to be falling apart. And everything is telling you that it's time to cut loose. And yet there is something that holds you back. There is something that wants you to keep working at it. Now, if you want to keep working at it, as of the 21st, my number one piece of advice is, please shut up. Sorry, I was trying to say that as nicely as possible. I just started cracking up. It's really important, if you would like to keep working on this, to please be quiet. Because if you're not quiet and you want to work on this verbally and you want to have, long drawn out conversations, arguments. You want to kind of convince the person that what they're doing is not the right thing. It's going to lead to a lot of misery. And since I am the person who has to say it, I'll say it. I don't think it works out. And I'll tell you why, because when you see the Four of Pentacles come up, especially in the context of a relationship, it almost never works out. The Four of Pentacles is always a teachable moment. Look at him. Look at him. Just look at him. He has no idea what else is out there. He just doesn't know. He thinks that's all there is. In fact, he's so convinced that that's all there is that he's willing to give up freedom for these coins. What do I mean by that? Can he get up? Can he move around? Can he do anything? Or is he now trapped of his own volition? He is. He's a prisoner of his own thoughts of inadequacy. He is convinced that there is no more coins in the world, and certainly none that he's going to get. And if he doesn't keep track of them exactly all the time, and if he doesn't make them a part of his identity, the one on his head there, that he won't have an identity, the coins will be gone, and there will be nothing to be done. There are no other coins out there. Now, this is basic, lack and inadequacy and feelings of unworthiness, and this psychocybernetic setting of you can only have but so much, and after that you're not allowed to have it. Other people are allowed to have more, but not you. This is all you're ever going to have. These thoughts, whether they apply to money or a relationship, a person you're dealing with, a job, whatever it is, it's so incredibly unhealthy. It's so, so important for you to not be this way, especially about a relationship. And that's really counterintuitive, right? Because that's what we want to be the most possessive of, is our relationship, because it means the most to us. Ironically, when we behave like the Four of Pentacles, everything runs away. Because what his posture is implying is that these coins are trying to run away. That's why he has to grasp them so tightly. That's why he has to make sure by holding them under his feet that they don't run away. Okay? But what happens when we exhibit to the universe the dominant emotion that I am afraid? Check out my posture. Check out how I'm being. I am afraid these coins are going to run away. If that's your dominant emotion, and we know that our dominant emotion is what is reflected back to us in our external reality, then all you're doing is sending a signal to the universe, the hologram, the matrix, whatever you call it, that you're absolutely sure that this money is going to run away. You're absolutely sure these coins will roll away. You're absolutely sure that this relationship will drift away. When you do that, that's what the universe gives you, because it must be what you want. That's why you're thinking about it. That's why you keep insisting on it. That must be the reality you want to key into. And when you do, things get really, really bad. Things can get extremely sad and hostile and miserable. Why? And even then we have this instinct. Even when things are miserable and horrible, we have this instinct to hold on, especially you. Especially you. The institution is much more important to you than you ever let on. Yes, you are the rebel, and yes, you don't give a fuck, and yes, you make the monies, and you're the boss, but you also have quite a lot of respect for that institution, the civility especially that comes with it. So it's not the easiest thing in the world for you to let go of something that should have worked, that at one time worked very well, but just doesn't anymore. Right? It just doesn't anymore. If there's something you want to say it tonight, say it tomorrow, but as of the 21st, say nothing. Now, this also applies to a job. If you were given a title, if you were, if there was some kind of like hoopla made around your job situation and congratulations and you're moving up or you're being promoted, but the pay didn't change. The pay is the same. This is the time to start working on your negotiating tactics. You have all of Mercury retrograde to work on it. But as we come out of Mercury retrograde in mid-October, that's when you say, hey, for this and this and this and this reason, I can no longer be the Four of Pentacles. Money, please. Okay? Now, during this time, it's also really important that you keep the controlling behavior to a minimum, especially when it comes to money. You see how this card, everything is gravitating around this Four of Pentacles because it's such a powerful energy in your life right now. Mercury retrograde is going to slow money down. If you try to control the flow of money while it's slowing down, you're only going to hurt yourself. Let Mercury slow everything down. Let Mercury slow your finances down. Save. Save and keep saving until you have this wondrous opportunity come in mid-October that solves all your financial problems and gives you extra to boot. Until then, you're saving your money, not with this feeling of lack that you have to and there's not enough and it's going to run away, and not like that. The way you save money, and this is a little trick, most of you probably know it because we all know that you're good with money, but just in case you didn't, the way you save your money, the way you keep control over your money is to keep raising your self-esteem and keep boosting your sense of worth. When we feel good about ourselves, when we are not suffering under any sort of insecurity or inferiority complex, we don't just spend exorbitant sums. We use money. All of us, but especially you guys. You use money to fill a gap, to fill a hole. And because that's not possible, it ends up being very, very messy. And because it's not possible, that's a bottomless pit. You can throw money into that pit for the rest of your life and it will change nothing. And here's the other thing, here's the rub. If you're looking for another one, what you buy with that money won't satisfy you anyway. This is often when you find that people, I don't know what happened. I had X amount of money and I can't even point to what I did with it. I didn't even buy a big ticket item. I'm not even sure what happened. It just kind of got spent. Yeah, the reason you can't keep track of it is because it was spent emotionally. Okay, so it's really, really important to understand the distinction between saving money and raising your self-esteem and your self-worth and consistently working at it. So as a byproduct, you end up saving money. When you tell yourself you're just going to save money, it's like going on a restrictive diet. You're legitimately thinking about the things you can't eat all the time because you've told yourself you can't eat them. So of course your mind is going to play tricks with you now, right? It's the same thing with saving money. If you decree to yourself that from now on, I'm just not spending any money, your mind will take you to that place every chance it gets. Every chance it gets, it's going to hit that same dopamine receptor and say, come on, this makes you feel good. Come on, why are you depriving yourself of something that makes you feel good? Come on, we need this. And you'll have to actively fight yourself all the time not to do it. And in fact, you will lose because you can't compete with your brain. You can't. Your will is not stronger than your brain. You've got to do the hard work of rewiring the brain. That's where your will comes in. That's where your will is used properly. So what you do is you use your will to engage in activities and only deal with people who raise your self-esteem, who raise your vibe and make you feel good. Spend time around those people, soak it up, work on this within yourself, do yoga for 20 minutes every day, raise that sense of self-worth, thicken that part of the brain that has to do with sense of self by doing that 30 minutes of yoga for 30 days straight. Then you will see how you naturally are just spending less because there's no gap to fill. There's no unending deep pit of inadequacy there anymore. That's what we're getting to. And Mercury retrograde is going to show you exactly what you do to fall into that pit. Okay, so we want to be very mindful. We want to be very mindful and observe ourselves and watch ourselves go through this and be proud of ourselves when we're able to accomplish it. It's also really important to not let your ego get in the way right now. Okay? It's very, very, very important that this not become a power struggle. Anything that's going on in your life right now, it's really important not to turn it into a power struggle and not to try to overwhelm the situation again with money, with a sense of superiority, with an air of superiority. We don't want to do any of these things. We don't want to be the better person. We don't want to do that because all you're going to end up doing is you're going to alienate people and you're going to make yourself look like a douche. It's also very much in your nature to not just spend money when you're stressed, but to go all out and actually buy things that are super, super, super expensive. Don't do that right now. It is not a coping strategy. You have a lot going on. There's a lot changing. There are a lot of things that you have to face. Ruining your financial stability is not the key or the answer to your problems. So please take that off the table. But the only way you can do that is first you need to address this. If it's not going the way it's supposed to be going, you cannot keep doing it, hoping that somehow it will just get better on its own. It's not going to. You have to think about what it is that you really want in life. Is this it? Regardless of how much you want to hold on to this connection, is this it? Is this what you want? Is this how you want to live? Because I don't think it is. But that's a decision only you can make, and you need to make that decision and work on yourself instead of spending money trying to get out of making that decision. Don't distract yourself with money. First of all, it's a terrible strategy and it doesn't work. And secondly, for a strategy that doesn't work, it sure does ruin everything. Okay? Be smarter than that. Take a hold of yourself, take a hold of your feelings, and do something about them, like I suggested earlier. That's the way out. Okay? All the links are below. I love you, love you. We're going to get into the extended right now. Once again, my apologies. Love you.